The invasion of Poland, 1939, the broadcast that started World War II. Imagine a world teetering on the edge of catastrophe, and then ask yourself this. What does it take to start a world war? A tank, a treaty, or a single staged radio broadcast? This is the stranger-than-fiction story of how a failed painter turned dictator, a gang of bureaucratic butchers, and a poor farmer named Franciszek Honiok spun history's bloodiest curtain call with military precision and theatrical flair. Before the sirens screamed and the tanks rolled across Poland's fields on September 1, 1939, a crew of Nazi performers took the stage, armed with uniforms, lies, and an actual dead body. The script, written by Heydrich, directed by Himmler, approved by Hitler, and played out by Alfred Naujocks, a man so shady even his shadow refused to stand near him. Operation Himmler wasn't just propaganda. It was propaganda, performed with costumes, corpses, and microphones, broadcast directly into the ears of millions. Why did Hitler believe the world would fall for it? How did Britain and France get played like background extras in this sinister stage show? And what happens when the victim of aggression is the one pulling the strings behind the curtain? You've heard how World War II began. Now experience why it really happened, told like never before, with unfiltered truth, electrifying intrigue, and just enough dark comedy to rattle your moral compass. Don't blink, don't breathe. And whatever you do, don't change the channel. It was the summer of 1939, and Europe was a powder keg with a lit match dangling precariously above it. Hitler, the mustachioed maestro of mayhem, had already gobbled up Austria and Czechoslovakia like a bratwurst buffet. But Poland? That was the main course. Why? Because Poland stood between Germany and its dream of Lebensraum, living space, and Hitler wasn't about to let a few treaties or moral qualms get in the way of his expansionist appetite. Before the tanks roared and the world plunged into chaos, the Nazis staged a performance so sinister it could have won an Oscar for Best Fabricated Justification for Global Catastrophe. This wasn't just propaganda. It was propaganda with props, costumes, and a corpse. Welcome to Operation Himmler, the twisted overture to Hitler's War Symphony. In August 1939, Hitler was itching to invade Poland, but he needed a reason, something that would make Germany look like the victim, not the aggressor. So he summoned his dark duo, Heinrich Himmler, the SS overlord with a penchant for mysticism and mass murder, and Reinhard Heydrich, the icy genius nicknamed the Blonde Beast. Their task? Create a casus belli, a reason for war so theatrical it would make Shakespeare blush. Enter Operation Himmler, a series of false flag attacks designed to make it look like Poland was poking the German bear. The most infamous of these was the Gliwice incident, a Nazi production so elaborate it had costumes, a script, and a tragic supporting actor. Meet the actors: Adolf Hitler, the director of destruction. Upbringing: born in 1889 in Braunau am Inn, Austria, to Alois Hitler, a domineering customs official, and Clara Pelzel, a doting mother. Alois beat him, Clara adored him. That combo brewed a storm of resentment and grandiosity. Family: most of his siblings died young. His closest bond was with his mother, whose death devastated him. He never married until the final hours of his life, Eva Braun, and had no children. Character: a failed artist with a flair for theatrical speeches and a messiah complex. Obsessed with racial purity, territorial expansion, and revenge for Germany's WWII humiliation. Weaknesses: paranoia, indecisiveness masked by bluster, and a tendency to believe his own propaganda. Also, terrible taste in architecture. Atrocities: architect of the Holocaust, instigator of WWII, and responsible for the deaths of tens of millions. His motto: the victor will not be asked whether he told the truth. Charming. Heinrich Himmler, the bureaucrat of blood. Upbringing: born in 1900 to a strict Catholic schoolmaster. Sickly as a child, overprotected and obsessed with order. Grew up memorizing German battle history like bedtime stories. Family: married Margareta Boden, had one daughter, and a mistress, Hedwig Potast, with whom he had 2 more children, a family man with a side hustle and genocide. Character: cold, calculating, and disturbingly spiritual. Believed in Aryan mysticism and saw himself as a knight of racial purity. Weaknesses: physically unimpressive, socially awkward, and deeply insecure. Tried to negotiate peace behind Hitler's back in 1945. Oops. Atrocities: head of the SS, mastermind of the concentration camp system, and one of the key architects of the Holocaust. His legacy? Efficiency in evil. Reinhard Heydrich, the blonde beast. Upbringing: born in 1904 to a musical family in Halle, Germany. Bullied as a child for rumored Jewish ancestry. Became a fencing prodigy and a violin virtuoso with a vendetta. Family: married Lena von Osten, had 4 children. His wife was fiercely loyal, even after his assassination. Character: brilliant, ruthless, and terrifyingly efficient. Described by Hitler as the man with the iron heart. He could charm you, then sign your death warrant. Weaknesses: arrogance. His confidence led him to travel in an open-top car in Prague, where resistance fighters ambushed him in 1942. Atrocities: creator of the Einsatzgruppen, overseer of the Final Solution, and orchestrator of Operation Himmler. His death led to the massacre of the Czech village of Lydia. Alfred Naujocks, the man who started World War II. Upbringing: born in 1911 in Kiel, Germany. Boxer, brawler, and engineering student turned SS thug. Joined the SS in 1931 and became Heydrich's go-to fixer. Family: little is known. He kept his personal life as shadowy as his missions. Character: described as an intellectual gangster. Quick with a pistol and quicker with a forged passport. Ran brothels, staged assassinations, and faked invasions. Weaknesses: ego. After falling out with Heydrich, he was demoted and sent to the Eastern Front. Later defected to the Allies and sold his story to the press. Atrocities: led the Gleiwitz incident, the false flag operation that gave Hitler his excuse to invade Poland. His reward? A footnote in history and a nickname: the man who started World War II. Franciszek Honiok, the forgotten martyr. Upbringing: born in 1896 in Upper Silesia. Fought for Poland in the Silesian uprisings. Lived in Germany but remained a proud Polish nationalist. Family: unmarried, childless, and politically vocal. His only crime? Loving his homeland. Character: ordinary farmer with extraordinary conviction. Known locally as a troublemaker for his Polish sympathies. Weaknesses: trust. He was arrested by the Gestapo, drugged, dressed in a Polish uniform, and shot. His body left at the Gleiwitz radio station as proof of Polish aggression. Atrocities: none committed, only endured. He is considered the first casualty of World War II, sacrificed for a lie. No grave, no memorial, just silence. On the night of August 31, 1939, SS officer Alfred Naujocks led a team of SS men dressed in Polish military uniforms to storm the German radio station in Gliwice, now Gliwice, Poland. Their mission? Broadcast a short, anti-German message in Polish and leave behind a body to sell the illusion. That body belonged to Franciszek Honiok, a 43-year-old Polish sympathizer and farmer who had the misfortune of being politically vocal and geographically convenient. The Gestapo arrested him the day before, drugged him, dressed him in a Polish uniform, and shot him, leaving his corpse at the scene as proof of Polish aggression too. The Nazis referred to victims like Honiok as conserve, canned goods. Yes, they literally called human beings canned meat. If that doesn't chill your spine, nothing will. The broadcast was brief, garbled, and likely incomprehensible. But it didn't matter. Within hours, German media was ablaze with reports of Polish aggression. Hitler addressed the Reichstag the next morning, citing border attacks and Polish hooligans as justification for the invasion. This isn't just another history channel. This is British historical battles where history isn't just dates and dusty books. It's blood, grit, and glory etched into the British soil. On British historical battles, we relive the clashes that forged a nation, the heroes who defied impossible odds, and the strategies that changed the course of empires. Subscribe now and unlock immersive stories from the front lines of British military history, battle maps, rare insights, and cinematic recreations. A deeper understanding of courage, sacrifice, and legacy. Whether it's Agincourt's arrow storms, Waterloo's thunder, or Dunkirk's desperate stand, every episode takes you right into the heart of the action. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and never miss a moment where valor meets history. The battlefield is calling. Will you answer? Poland wasn't just any country. It was the line in the sand. After Hitler's betrayal of the Munich Agreement and his annexation of Czechoslovakia, Britain and France realized appeasement was like feeding a crocodile and hoping it wouldn't eat you next. So they guaranteed Poland's independence. When Germany invaded on September 1, 1939, they had no choice but to declare war 2 days later. Poland, pressured by Britain and France, delayed full mobilization. The Allies feared that mobilizing too early would provoke Hitler. Ironically, this hesitation gave Germany the upper hand. By the time the invasion began, Polish forces were scattered and unprepared. Their defense plan, Plan West, focused on guarding the entire border, especially the industrial regions. But this made them vulnerable to Germany's lightning-fast blitzkrieg tactics. The German invasion plan, Fall Weiss, Case White, was a military ballet of terrifying precision. 2 army groups, north and south, would encircle Polish forces and meet near Warsaw. Germany attacked from north, East Prussia, west, from Germany proper, south, via Slovakia, Germany's puppet state. They deployed 2/3 of their infantry, all panzer divisions, over 2,000 aircraft. The rest of the army stayed on the western border, just in case France got frisky. It was a crisp morning in Danzig, and the German battleship Schleswig-Holstein, supposedly on a friendly visit, decided to kick off World War II with a bang, literally. At 4:45 a.m., it opened fire on the Polish military transit depot at Westerplatte. Surprise! The visit wasn't so friendly after all. Meanwhile, 2 massive German army groups, Army Group North under General von Bock and Army Group South under General von Rundstedt, began their deadly dance. Their orders? Encircle Polish forces like a boa constrictor with a grudge and meet near Warsaw for a grim reunion. Germany didn't just bring soldiers. Oh no, they brought 2/3 of their infantry, almost every panzer unit, and over 2,000 aircraft. It was like showing up to a knife fight with a flamethrower, a tank, and a marching band. The Luftwaffe soared through Polish skies like angry hornets, establishing air superiority within days. Polish pilots fought valiantly. Some even scored kills, but their outdated aircraft were no match for the German flying death machines. On the ground, the panzer divisions sliced through Polish defenses like butter on a summer day. The Polish army, valiantly clinging to Plan West, tried to defend the entire border, a noble but flawed strategy. Their units, spread thin and slow to maneuver, were picked off and surrounded like chess pieces in a rigged game. September 3, 1939. Britain and France finally declared war on Germany. Cue the trumpets, cue the Churchillian resolve. 2. Leaflets. Instead of unleashing the full might of their combined forces, the Allies launched what history now calls the Phony War, a period of awkward silence so long even the Germans started wondering if they'd misheard the declaration. France tiptoed into the Saarland with 100 divisions, stared at 23 German divisions guarding the Siegfried Line, and promptly tiptoed back out too. It was like showing up to a bar fight with a violin and asking if anyone wanted to talk about feelings. Meanwhile, Poland was bleeding. Warsaw was under siege. And the cavalry? Never came. From September 9 to 19, Polish generals Tadeusz Kotrzeba and Władysław Bortnowski decided to flip the script. Their Poznań and Pomorza armies, battered but not broken, launched a surprise counterattack near the Bzura River, west of Warsaw 4. And guess what? It worked. For a hot minute. Polish infantry and cavalry smashed into the German 8th Army, recapturing towns like Łęczyca and Piątek. They inflicted thousands of casualties and captured German soldiers. Even Winston Churchill called it an ever-glorious struggle. But then, the Luftwaffe showed up like the worst kind of party crashers, dropping 328 tons of bombs on Polish positions. German panzer divisions encircled the Polish forces, cutting off escape routes and pounding them into retreat. By September 18th, the pocket collapsed. 170,000 Polish troops were captured. 5. The rest scattered into forests, hoping to reach Warsaw or the Romanian border. With western Poland lost, the Polish High Command enacted their last-ditch plan: retreat to the southeastern hills near the Romanian border. 7. This wasn't just a random mountain getaway. It was a strategic fallback known as the Romanian bridgehead. Why there? The terrain was rugged. Hills, valleys, swamps, and rivers like the Strage and Dniester offered natural defenses. Ammunition dumps were stockpiled in the region. The port of Constanța in Romania could be used to resupply Polish forces via Allied ships. The idea? Hold out until winter. Wait for France and Britain to launch a real offensive. Regroup, resist. Just when Poland thought things couldn't get worse, September 17, 1939, arrived like a bad plot twist in a war movie. The Soviet Union, with all the grace of a wrecking ball in a porcelain shop, invaded from the east. Their official excuse? We're here to protect our Belarusian and Ukrainian brothers. Their real reason? A secret handshake with Hitler called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, signed on August 23rd. This wasn't just a non-aggression pact, it was a geopolitical carving knife, slicing Poland into Soviet and Nazi spheres like a dictator's charcuterie board too. And then came the Red Army, not a polite knock, but 800,000 troops, 4,700 tanks, and 3,300 aircraft. Poland, already reeling from the German blitzkrieg, now faced a two-front war. That's not a military strategy. It's a recipe for national collapse. Despite being surrounded, betrayed, and outgunned, Polish forces refused to go quietly. In Tomaszów Lubelski, from September 17 to 26, Polish troops launched desperate counterattacks. It was the second largest battle of the campaign and the largest tank battle, with over 80 Polish armored vehicles clashing against German panzer divisions. Meanwhile, Warsaw, the heart of Poland, endured 16 days of relentless siege. Luftwaffe bombers turned the skyline into smoke and rubble. Yet the city held out until September 27th, when 140,000 Polish troops were taken prisoner. But the final curtain call came at Koch, where General Franciszek Honiok led the independent operational group Polsy, a patchwork of survivors, cavalry, and river flotillas. From October 2 to 6, they fought valiantly against Germany's 14 motorized corps, even winning local skirmishes 7. But with no ammo, no reinforcements, and Soviet tanks closing in, they surrendered. The Second Republic of Poland was no more. Poland may have fallen, but its soul marched on. Thousands of soldiers escaped to Romania, Hungary, and France. They regrouped as the Polish armed forces in the West, fighting alongside the Allies in Norway, France, North Africa, and Italy, most famously at Monte Cassino, where Polish troops raised their flag over the ruins 9. Polish pilots in the RAF, especially the legendary 303 Squadron, became heroes of the Battle of Britain. And the Germans? They studied Poland's collapse like a textbook. The Blitzkrieg, fast tanks, air superiority, and psychological warfare, was refined in Poland and unleashed across Europe. Coming up next, what happens when a tiny nation stands alone against the might of an empire, armed with skis, grit, and blinding snow? Welcome to the Winter War, where Finland's frozen forests became battlefields, and Marshal Karl Mannerheim, the grandfatherly tactician, faced off against Soviet General Semyon Timoshenko, commander of one of the largest armies on Earth. How did the Finns use ice, silence, and sniper tactics to stun the world? Why did Stalin's war machine struggle in the frozen wilderness? What drove a nation of just 4 million to push back against an army 10 times its size? This is a story of snow-camouflaged heroes, midnight ambushes, and the fire that burned under Finland's frost-covered resolve. Subscribe now, turn on the notification bell, and join us in uncovering the war where winter fought on Finland's side.